We'll call to order the April 1st meeting of City Council. If you're able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Now pause for a moment of silence. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Baker?
Here.
Bullock?
Here.
Keppel?
Here.
Marks?
Here.
Rader?
Here.
Schachner?
Here.
Strebig?
Here.
Reading and disposal of the minutes of the regular meeting of council held March 18th, 2024.
Move to approve without the necessity of a reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Item 1, report from Housing, Planning, and Development Committee.
Councilman Bullock.
Thank you, Madam President. Dear members of council, the Housing Planning and Development Committee met on March 25 to continue deliberations regarding the proposed sale of various city-owned properties and to consider economic development incentives for the adaptive reuse and redevelopment of the city's former school buildings at 1456 and 1570 Warren Road. First, the committee continued its deliberation on Ordinance 5-2024, which proposes the sale of 7 city properties. These include 2 unbuildable vacant lots, 2 residential properties, and 3 commercial properties. The committee agreed to move forward with the sale of the residential properties and vacant lots as proposed. Regarding the commercial properties, the committee amended Ordinances 5-2024 to remove 1450 Bell Avenue, to consider it separately, and to allow additional information to be gathered and provided to council. The committee also added via amendment stipulations to explicitly ensure a process for council participation in the City Hall Working Group that will evaluate and recommend action on the offers for sale of the remaining 2 commercial properties. And the specifics of that is to include the council president or her designee and the ward council person, who in this case would be the Ward 2 council person, Mr. Schachner. Next, the committee heard a presentation from the Planning Department regarding a proposed package of economic development incentives, including a TIF and a CRA tax abatement sought by Liberty Development to redevelop the city's former school buildings into residential and office space. Director Leininger and Mr. Drew Siley of Liberty Development discussed the historic significance of the properties and the plans to repurpose them in a way that preserves and retains their historic character. They also discussed the financial challenges of completing a project of this size and scope in the current business climate, which they argued creates a financial gap that the proposed TIF and tax abatements are intended to fill, allowing the project to move forward under its current design. The committee noted that these properties have historically generated no property tax revenues for over 100 years, and that despite the TIF and tax abatement, all taxing authorities will receive the baseline level of property taxes on the unimproved value of the parcels, and the city will receive income tax generated by new residents of and employees on the property. After much discussion and thoughtful deliberation by council members, the committee recommended approval of proposed ordinances 3-2024 and 4-2024, the first in a series necessary to effectuate the proposed tax abatement and TIF. Work on Phase 1 of the project is scheduled to begin this summer and the entire project to be completed by the end of 2025. We also learned that the historic tax credits from the state earned by the developer for these this 2-phase project has a timetable on it, and so they're very focused on executing successfully in that timetable. Respectfully submitted, move to receive and file that written report.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Item 2, substitute ordinance 5-2024, an ordinance to take effect immediately, authorizing and directing the Director of Planning and Development or the mayor to enter into an agreement with a licensed real estate broker to market for sale various real properties pursuant to Section 15507 of the codified ordinances.
Move to adopt.
Madam, point of order, Madam Chair. Do we need to move to substitute, or?
It was
we have
already
on the-
substituted to
Okay.
committee. Director Varga, any concerns?
Okay, sorry. My apologies for my not helpful help.
All right. All right. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Madam Chair, Madam President?
Yes.
So just to add more detail to the deliberation in committee. There were a couple of corrections, as you can see in the marked up version on the agenda tonight, the docket tonight, of parcel numbers. And the spirit of the conversation that we had was that residential properties are straightforward, commercial properties are somewhat different in nature. In particular, we wanted to consider 1450 Bell separately, so we anticipate that that will come back before us just in a standalone piece of legislation. There is some discussion about whether we want to retain ownership or not, that we look forward to having in more detail. And then the two properties on Madison Avenue across from each other are important and exciting redevelopment potential, and that is where in Section 3, in order to include City Council in the deliberation, the amended language appears. Note also, though, that in Section 4, it says that the director, meaning Director Leininger, is authorized to negotiate, make counterproposals, and in effect make the decision to close the transaction. There's a report to City Council, but City Council, if we adopt this, would not make the actual decision. It would be the director in consultation with a team with the administration that would also now include two of our colleagues.
Great, thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes.
Item 3, Ordinance 3, 2024, an ordinance authorizing a development agreement with LDC Warren Ltd., LLC, in connection with the redevelopment of certain real property in the city of Lakewood as part of a tax increment financing program under Ohio Revised Code.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion.
Yeah, Council President,
Councilman Baker.
thank you. In the sense that my day job is a Cleveland Metropolitan, which is a property tax funded entity, out of an abundance of caution to remove the appearance of conflict of interest, I will be abstaining from these next two votes.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Madam President?
Councilman Bullock.
To add a little more color and context. So first of all, I see Mr. Drew Siley in the audience. He's here, I'm sure, to talk on the active transportation plan, to circle back around to 10 years ago, being a primary author or significant author of the original Lakewood Bike Master Plan. But in addition to that, inside baseball humor, Mr. Siley represents the developer, and in the committee discussion reminded us that there were 4 or 5 applicants to the school board which owned the properties originally, and of those applicants, the only one to preserve and historically preserve and redevelop those two properties, which are dating back to 1897 and something like 1905, was Liberty's. So it's significant. It's been a number of years to work through the details, especially historic tax credits, but we're here. I think it is significant that we could have parcels that are vacant currently contributing to the vibrancy of Warren Road and kind of that portion of our neighborhood and downtown. So I look forward to this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Schachtner.
And just to add on to what Mr. Bullock was saying, I think it was made clear to us that without these financing products, tax incremental financing along with the next resolution, ordinance, the community reinvestment area, that really the only viable development of this property would be to demolish the buildings and build from scratch. So this is really the only realistic way to pencil out an adaptive reuse and preserve those buildings.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
And that motion passes.
Item 4, Ordinance 4, 2024, an ordinance to take effect immediately, authorizing the City of Lakewood to accept title to certain real property located within the city and immediately transfer title back to the current owner for the purpose of implementing tax increment financing pursuant to Ohio Revised Code.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions?
Abstain.
Any objections? And that motion passes.
Item 5, report from Public Safety Committee regarding meeting held today, April 1st, 2024.
Councilman Baker.
Thank you, Council President. Colleagues, we had the Public Safety Committee today, April 1st, to discuss one resolution 2023-73, which is the adoption of the Active Transportation Plan and accompanying Safe Streets for All plan. It is 99% of the way there. Assistant Director Boss has done a great job coordinating with not only the public and a task force of folks that have been working on this for over a year, but we were provided some updates from the February meeting to now, and Assistant Director Boss went through each of those updates, some discussion of what is a base objective or a base versus like a more visionary objective, how we'd like to accomplish the base, but we're going to strive for a more visionary implementation of the plan. The committee had a couple more questions that we hope to wrap up at the next full council meeting to allow for full adoption. So the committee voted to defer the item, but it's not out of some concern with the plan, big picture. It's just to make sure that we refine it because this is council's one opportunity to do that and make sure that the plan is what we can all get behind.
Thank you. I'll move to receive and file that oral report.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that motion passes.
Item 6, Resolution 2023-73, a resolution to take effect immediately, adopting the Active Transportation Plan and accompanying Safe Streets for All plan.
Move to defer.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Oh, we do. We do have a public comment signed in. So, Mr. Zelinski, come on up. I think the button's already on, so you can say your name and address for the record, and then you have 5 minutes.
Very good. I won't need that. Dan Zelinski, 2197 Northland Avenue. On the internet, I listened to the public safety meeting earlier, and Councilman Schachner's comments about the only time that the public ever really engages, and I'm paraphrasing here, engages with the process is in some sort of negative respect. I want to take this chance here and shed some positive enthusiasm on this conversation. Councilman Baker used some very awesome questions and pressing for the raised crosswalks and getting clarification around that. That's just great. I really like biking. I'm very enthusiastic about it. It's something, I have this giant, several of you have seen a giant bike in the back, and I take my infant son around town. It's something I hope to pass on to him, an enthusiasm. And I'm not as enthusiastic about the roads, honestly. So this conversation, pushing it forward and improving this infrastructure is great. It's not perfect. There were some good, I don't want to call them counterpoints, but areas for improvement, and like Dave was talking about, incremental improvement is fantastic. So that's it. Just positive vibes, and thank you.
Thank you, and thank you very much for being here. It is nice to get a positive comment. All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes.
Item 7, communication from council regarding Arab American Heritage Month.
Councilman Rader, do you want to take point on this?
Thank you, Madam President. Dear colleagues, in the spirit of embracing our city's rich tapestry of cultures, we are delighted to introduce the following resolution to recognize Arab American Heritage Month this month in April in Lakewood. In Lakewood, we understand that our strength lies in our diversity. The Arab American members of our community have contributed significantly to the culture, social, and economic fabric of our city. From business owners to educators, artists, public servants, their contributions are as vital as they are valuable and enrich the rich collective experience of Lakewood. As we celebrate Arab American Heritage Month this April, we reaffirm our city's stance against discrimination and the unwavering commitment to equity and equality. We also acknowledge the impact of the ongoing conflict in the Middle East on our community, and we know it weighs very heavily on many of our neighbors who have familial, cultural, and religious ties to the region. This moment calls for us to come together with respect for all, shared humanity, and strive for peace and understanding, both globally and within our own community. We recognize that our effort towards building a community that values and respects all of its members are ongoing. The celebration of Arab American Heritage Month is not just one way in which we can come together to honor the diversity and that defines us and work towards a more equitable future for all. And that's undersigned by all of Lakewood City Council. One thing I'll add, Madam President, before I receive and file this communication, I want to thank the members of Cameo and CARE and those organizations who were represented here tonight for educating me over the last few months, through this month of Ramadan as well, on the fact, I think one of the reasons we're doing this resolution, we did it last year too, is not just to elevate American culture, but to share that we are all American. I think we're to emphasize, and by raising one group up, I think it just highlights, and we hope that every group here in Lakewood, including the Arab American population, feels truly as American as everyone else. And that's, to me, one of the major thrusts of this. I want to thank you, and I'll move to receive and file this communication. Thank you, Madam President.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Further discussion? Councilwoman Strebe.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Councilmember Rader, for bringing this resolution forward. This is another fine example of our Lakewood culture of recognizing, supporting, and celebrating diverse groups and individuals. By acknowledging and lifting people, we lift our whole Lakewood community to greater potential. This must remain our priority. I'm pleased to support this resolution in recognition of Arab American Heritage Month.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I'll just add that we've done this every year since I've been on council, but couple years, and it is always. I'm always pleased to do that. We are lucky in Lakewood to have one of the larger populations of Arab Americans in Ohio, and it certainly strengthens our community, and we're pleased to celebrate our Arab American neighbors and want to make sure that we continue to make all feel welcome and supported and a valuable part of our community. All right. So we have a motion to receive and file. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes.
Item 8, Resolution 2024-16, a resolution to join with states, municipalities, and other jurisdictions around the country to designate April as Arab American Heritage Month in the city of Lakewood, Ohio, by celebrating the Arab American culture and paying tribute to the contributions of Arab Americans.
Move to adopt. Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Madam President?
Yes, Councilman Rader.
Would wonder if you'd entertain the opportunity, if any of our guests, to speak if they so chose.
Absolutely. I'm giving an eye to Mr. Bajani over here. You can just come up to the microphone's already on, if you'd be willing to say your name and address for the record, and then your comment.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Pierre Bijani. I'm the president of the Cleveland American Middle East Organization. And I want to thank you all for doing this tonight here. I want to thank Tristan for leading the way, and every single council here, and the mayor also, and everybody on board. That means a lot to our community. April, it's designated as Arab American Heritage Month. And we just received the proclamation from the President Biden about putting Arab American Heritage Month as April. And I'd like to have this, I'm working with the governor's office also, to make it always as an a definite time, April as Arab American Heritage Month, to be a continued effort instead of every month and every year doing this, a permanent, I mean. So I appreciate you, I thank you, and yes, definitely, Lakewood is a home to a lot of our community, and they're proud of it, and proud of being here, and proud of Lakewood, and proud of the support they're getting from you all around. I want to thank you again, and may God bless you. And please come share with us Wednesday. This Wednesday, we have our annual iftar dinner. Iftar dinner is when they break the fasting every day at Sky. Tristan and other council people has the information. Welcome to join us all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions?
We do have a ceremonial resolution we'd like to present to you if you're willing to come down front after we finish passing this, and we'll get a picture.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have no problem. I'm not in a hurry. I'm staying.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So we already moved it up, right? Okay, all right, so we're all, motion made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes. And then we'll come down front here and take a quick picture.
Yeah, I'll take a picture of it. Is it okay? Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Item 9, communication from Councilmembers Baker, Bullock, and Rader regarding Soul Smart Bronze status.
Councilman Baker, are you taking point on this?
Thank you, Council President. Dear colleagues, solar energy systems are increasingly common in Ohio thanks to the steep drop in price of over 50% in the last decade for the average system, making them an investment within the reach for more family budgets. Households can save tens of thousands of dollars over a solar system's 25-year lifespan while improving air quality and health at the same time. When used to power electric vehicle, household savings increase even further. To make it easier for more Lakewood households to achieve these benefits, on March 21st, 2022, we introduced Resolution 2022-9 to start the process to announce our commitment to make Lakewood a Soul Smart designated community. Soul Smart is a national technical assistance and designation program designed to support local governments in encouraging solar energy growth and addressing barriers to solar energy. We are proud to announce that on March 19th, 2024, Lakewood earned a bronze designation from Soul Smart. This achievement shows that Lakewood has met national best practices specified in the Soul Smart criteria to reduce local barriers to solar energy growth and is in line with the recently adopted Comprehensive Climate Action Plan. Lakewood is only the 12th municipality in the state of Ohio to earn a Soul Smart designation. Over the past 2 years, in partnership with the Soul Smart Technical Assistance Team, City Council members, City Council staff, and the administration, in particular credit to City Planner Amanda Kramer, worked to improve the solar market conditions, making it easier, faster, and more affordable for our residents and businesses to install solar energy systems. These efforts increase the efficiency of the city's processes related to solar development, which will save the city and residents and businesses time and money. Soul Smart provided technical assistance to Lakewood at no cost through a grant through the U.S. Department of Energy. As part of the accreditation process, Lakewood developed and posted an online checklist detailing the permitting process for rooftop solar. Soul Smart worked with Lakewood to ensure that the checklist lays out the straightforward process with unnecessary red tape or confusion. One of the most important takeaways for residents and businesses is that rooftop solar panels are allowed in all areas of Lakewood. The bronze designation demonstrates that Lakewood is committed to continuing improvement regarding solar energy and living up to the vision and goals outlined in the Climate Action Plan. With the recent federal investments in solar energy, Lakewood is removing barriers and streamlining processes for residents and businesses so Lakewood can increase the overall number of solar projects in the city and meet the goals outlined in the Climate Action Plan. Sincerely, myself, Councilman Bullock, and Rader.
Move to receive and file that communication.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Further discussion. Councilman Rader?
Sure. I really just want to thank both Councilman Bullock and Councilman Baker for putting a lot of effort into this. Something I shared a little earlier was during this process was, I think, one of the major roles and goals of us doing this is really just getting the word out there that this is something that the city tries to make it as easy as possible for people to go solar. We hear a lot, in full disclosure, I work in the solar industry, work for a nonprofit that promotes and educates folks around community solar and rooftop solar, and just getting out there in front of folks to let them know this is a possibility and it works, I think, is a huge step forward, and it's been great to be able to partner with this DoD-funded organization, SolSmart, to start that process. And hats off to the administration who's really stepped to the plate here, and I'm looking forward to kind of working through those other stages of the process, which I know we're all moving towards, because that's what's called for in our climate action plan. It's really important that we get behind this. So again, thanks to everyone, and yeah.
Councilman Bullock.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. The couple thoughts. First, it's been a good team effort, not only among the council members. I appreciate your support and the council staff's support. Clerk Bach and the whole team have been working on this for the last, several weeks, and there's more to come, because today's the bronze, but you can do silver and gold. Thanks also to the Georgia administration and the planning department. We've been partnering, as others have said. So we hope today's the beginning, not the final measure. We're only the 20th statewide. I'm just looking at the map to attain any level, and in Cuyahoga County, only 3 designees. It's the county itself, the city of Cleveland, and Lakewood. So we're the first, suburban community to focus on this. I think the significance, this is covered in the formal communication that Councilman Baker read, but if we think about sustainability, some of it's on the city's side, so what we do in the parks, what we do in city-owned buildings, what we do for public right-of-way, but a lot of it, in fact, the vast majority is going to be in private property owners, commercial buildings, residential buildings, mixed use, industrial, and so the city can't really force people to do, to make property investments, but we could certainly set the table for that. We could make it clearer, we could make it less burdensome, and hopefully we could align incentives. So nowadays there's grants and federal tax credits and a bunch of options for people to consider. But the city does have a role to play in streamlining, in educating, and in being prepared in our building and housing and zoning functions to do an efficient and thoughtful job. So that's really, I think, the part that's exciting to me, is that we're going to kind of tee up action for our private property owners in town, and that's a big deal. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, any further discussion? I'll just add an appreciation to council members working on this, the council staff, including our former deputy clerk, who's now off at law school. So this has been a long project, and we appreciate that. Yeah, so as well as the planning staff helping us out with that. So, all right, we have a motion to receive and file. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 10, communication from Mayor George regarding appointment to Loan Approval Board.
Mayor George.
Members of council, it's my pleasure to announce the appointment of Mac Doyle to the Loan Approval Board. We're thankful for Mac committing his time and energy to volunteering on this important board. Thank you.
Thank you. Move to receive and file.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes.
Item 11, communication from Finance Director Rankator regarding second quarter transfers and advances and 2025 tax budget legislation.
Director Rankator.
President Keppel and members of council, the 2024 second quarter transfer ordinance reflects 25% of the total anticipated transfers between funds that were included within the 2024 appropriations. Also attached are resolutions for the Cuyahoga County Fiscal Officer's Budget Commission for items related to the city's 2025 budget. The tax budget resolution and the amounts and rates resolutions authorize the City of Lakewood's Finance Department to submit the 2025 tax budget to the Cuyahoga County Fiscal Officer for review and approval. This includes maintaining the city's existing property tax rate structure totaling 17.4 mils for its 5 levies to be collected for calendar year 2025. The tax budget resolution must be adopted by City Council and submitted to the Cuyahoga County Fiscal Officer on or before July 15, 2024, in accordance with provisions of the Ohio Revised Code. The tax budget is a projection of revenues and expenditures completed primarily to establish the city's existing property tax rate for the 2024 tax year, 2025 collection year, as they will be presented in committee for discussion. Also attached is a resolution authorizing the Director of Finance to request from the Cuyahoga County Fiscal Officer real and personal property tax and special assessment advances when collected and available to the city in 2025. Participation in the tax advance program improves the city's cash flow and funds invested amount, enhancing the city's interest income. The county fiscal officer requires the city to file this resolution prior to October 1st, 2024, stating the city's intent to receive advances of real estate tax prior to final settlement in 2025. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll move to receive and file that communication.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes.
Item 12, Ordinance 7, 2024, an ordinance to take effect immediately authorizing the transfer in advance of certain funds.
Move to refer to finance.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes.
Item 13, Resolution 2024-17, a resolution to take effect immediately, approving the tax budget of the City of Lakewood for the year 2025 and authorizing the filing with the Cuyahoga County Fiscal Officer.
Move to refer to Finance Committee.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 14, Resolution 2024-18, a resolution to take effect immediately, accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the County Fiscal Officer.
Move to refer to Finance.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 15, Resolution 2024-19, a resolution to take effect immediately requesting the Cuyahoga County Fiscal Officer to draw and the Cuyahoga County Treasurer to pay to the City of Lakewood Director of Finance in advance of all real personal property and special assessments collected in the year 2025 in such amounts as may be requested and available.
Move to refer to Finance.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Madam President?
Yes, Councilman.
I do have one question here that's really a preview or a teaser question for committee discussion, which is on property tax valuations. I seem to recall the county, rather, the auditor is going to be doing its triennial property valuation process. Is that going to impact this round, or would it be a future tax year, according to what we understand about the normal timing of such matters? Am I remembering that correctly?
Madam President, Mr. Bullock points out that we do in fact have a county reevaluation this year. It won't affect the property tax rates themselves, but certainly when we're looking at, the amounts in terms of what we collect from those property taxes, those will be impacted. So we do look forward to, discussing that in Finance Committee. There will be, presumably revaluation this year. There will be that. And, it seems like things have moved up in terms of property values over the last 3 years.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Item 16, communication from Police Chief Fisher regarding animal shelter impound fees.
Chief Fisher.
Thank you, Madam President. President Keppel and members of council, following my correspondence is a resolution that, if adopted, will raise the impound fees for animals taken in by the Lakewood Animal Shelter. The fees have not been increased in a number of years. Currently, the impound fee for cats is $10 with an additional cost of $10 per impounded day. The impound fee for dogs is $20 with an additional fee of $10 per day. The current fees do not cover the cost of housing the animals until they are either reunited with their family or become eligible for adoption. I am requesting that the fee for impounding dogs and cats be established at $40 for an initial impound with an additional $20 fee per day. These are minimal increases when comparing rates charged by surrounding municipal animal shelters and animal protective leagues, but will better help our shelter cover its expenses when impounding animals. I respectfully request this item be referred to a committee deemed appropriate by council.
Thank you. Move to receive and, oh, wait, oh, I'm going to, yeah. Move to receive and file the communication. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. And that motion passes.
Item 17, Resolution 2024-20, a resolution to take effect immediately to increase the impound fees for animals that are housed at the Lakewood Animal Shelter.
Move to refer to Public Safety and Lakewood Animal Safety Welfare Advisory Board. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Item 18, Finance Department reports submitted pursuant to Lakewood Codified Ordinance 11103.
Thank you. Councilman, I will first move to receive and file. Motions are made and seconded. And then I'll just, kicking off discussion, remind council members this is per the changes regarding the purchasing agreements. So these are the items between the 5,000 and 75,000? Yeah. 7,500 and 50,000. I got those reversed. Okay, so the items between those that no longer go through full board of control, but council had added into the ordinance so that we get these reports. Yes, Councilor Bullock.
Madam President, thank you. So the motion is to receive and file. I wondered if you might accept a friendly amendment to the motion to say move to receive and file and refer to the Finance Committee for discussion of some of the specifics in here, but also the format. This is the first opportunity we're having to receive the newly required report, and I think it's helpful, but it there could be some feedback the committee may want to discuss or recommend in terms of context provided alongside the list, which is the core, and it is helpful, but anyway, that's something that that occurs to me. Thus the potential motion.
Sure. We just referred a number of things to finance, so I'll suggest the finance chair weigh in on that.
My thought is that with the purpose of this provides an opportunity for members of council, if they have a question as to a specific item on here, that they could reach out to the appropriate department and ask. I think our discussion during the passage of this was really just to get a base description of what the item is, the cost, and who the vendor is. So I believe it accomplishes that. And if there are further questions concerning an individual cost, that could be either addressed with the appropriate department, or a motion or communication could be drafted questioning certain cost or payment, and that could be then put forth to the appropriate committee governing the department where the purchase was made. That's my thought.
Any further discussion? Other council members?
Madam President?
Councilman Baker.
Yeah, to echo the Vice President and the Chair of the Finance Committee's comments, I think as we were drafting this, it was finding the right balance between what would not be overly burdensome on the Finance Department to put together a report. So I believe that most of these kind of fields are auto-populated. So while we appreciate their time and effort, it's not overly complicated for them to do it, and then it allows council the opportunity to, if we wanted to refer this to committee because there's a particular expense, we could do that, or to council, to the chair's point, we could, write a letter to council about a certain expense. I do think that this adequately provides that information, so we have a flavor for what the city is cutting checks for between those values, and then if there's any red flags, we can, as a council, follow up on them. But I would encourage Councilman Bullock, if he wants to, talk with the Finance Department about what level of detail he'd like to see, and then maybe we can adjust the form. I believe the way the legislation is written is that there's a sample form on file with the clerk's office that outlines the form of these reports. And so if we want to change that, it would require some administrative processes that we may want to do, but I would encourage you to, talk to the Finance Department about that and us.
Madam President?
Yes, Councilman.
It's a little difficult to talk with my colleagues outside of a public meeting, so my thought is that the process would not be that these reports routinely get referred to committee for discussion, but this is the very first one. And so, as we get underway, I think having the opportunity for some dialogue is useful. And then maybe if there's some consensus among council members that the format in the clerk's office be amended, or the template document be amended, that could be discussed. So this would be more council's discussion of the process that we've created for oversight of the administration. To the points of my colleagues, I think it's well stated that our role is not to get into every contract that is just above $7,500. So there's a balance. Thanks.
So I appreciate yes, Councilman Rader.
Thank you, Madam President. I understand, I think, the thrust of that. Well, if we were going to have the discussion, I'd like to have a communication maybe that kind of highlights some of what Councilman Bullock was talking about. I don't think it's a bad idea to kind of relook at the process if he feels that's necessary, but I think you'd want to have something that we could introduce to committee that would guide that discussion instead of referring all these specific items to committee. I think it's just a little too free form unless there was some specific issue with a specific item we wanted to talk about. That's all.
Yep, thank you, Councilman Rader. That was sort of where my thought process was going to is, I appreciate Councilman Bullock's point about process and potentially amending the form. What I would suggest is that council members review the January and February reports that we have now in front of us, and if doing that, it raises the types of questions, concerns, what you might like to see changed, or just ask for clarification, or it might lead to that, those types of things, and you could either draft a communication individually, or if multiple council members have those things, we can send them to the clerk's office to summarize, and we can do a communication that way. Director Varga.
Madam President, if I may, thank you. Thank you for your comments. I think they're accurate. I want to thank Councilman Shackner and Councilman Baker for their comments as well. Councilman Bullock, the format of the attachment was subject to a lot of discussion and a lot of work from the Law Department and the Finance Committee. And the contemplation, as stated, was that if a council person had a question about any of the expenditures, then the council person could reach out in the way the council person is comfortable, could reach out directly to Finance Committee, to the department involved, Public Works or what have you, or could issue a communication and we can discuss it. So I'd just like to acknowledge the comments of the Finance Committee because they were very much involved in the process that led to the format that is before you.
Mr. President,
Thank
Madam
you.
President. I'm also on the Finance Committee, Law Director, and what we're talking about is the first round of a new quarter under the new terms. Okay, and what we're also talking about is City Council being able to be effective as a body. And so when I talk one-on-one with the administration, I'm only one of 7, and I don't even know the minds of my colleagues. And it may actually lead to a lopsided conversation because the administration talks all day long to one another. That's your job. The directors talk to each other. You talk to the mayor, you get instructions. But for a City Council to be able to be effective and comply with the letter and spirit of the sunshine laws, which you remind us of routinely, what those rules of engagements are, we've got to work in a public body. So, Mr. Rader, I would say what we're not referring the specifics, we're referring this report. It's on the agenda. City Council is allowed to make a parliamentary motion to refer to committee. So for anybody to bristle at City Council decision-making or oversight, I think that's misguided. And I applaud this City Council on its thoughtfulness and its thoroughness and its willingness to take the lead on many issues, and this is potentially one of them, okay? Doesn't have to, but if we don't, and we're setting some kind of precedent where somehow City Council, as the powers of the purse under the charter, is not allowed to make full decisions, I think that's a mistake. Thanks.
Just, Madam President?
Yes, Director Varga.
Thank you. Certainly don't mean to disagree with anybody's power of the purse. I hope I didn't say that. Certainly was not my intent. This entire effort, as everybody knows, was intended to streamline the expenditure process consistent with the new statute from the Ohio Revised Code that took the bidding limit up to $75,000. My only point was a lot of time and effort and consideration was put into the format of the chart. Willing to put in more time, but it isn't like this chart just found its way this first time. It was the process of collaboration between the Finance Committee and the administration. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I guess my thought process here would be that we, because I said if there are specific items that, you know, council members have questions on or have concerns about the specific chart, I'm open to, you know, introducing communication. We can, summarizing those, and we can send that to appropriate committee and have a thorough discussion, or if there's items you want to ask about now. But I am loath to just refer the full thing to finance, just to go line by line through points when we essentially said we just wanted to receive this report. So that's kind of where my mind's at. If there are concerns about specific items or we want to have a further conversation about the process, I think council members maybe sit with this, look through it. If there's things we want to address, we can always circle back. These things have already happened, so we would not be voting on them regardless. We would just be commenting. So that's my process. So right now we have a motion to receive and file this report. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 19, liquor notice regarding Birdie Town at 12501 Madison Avenue.
So we are in receipt of the report on this, I believe. So this is in Ward 4. So Councilwoman Marks.
No objection.
Thank you. So I'll move to receive and file without objection.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 20, liquor notice regarding Aqua Bar Lakewood LLC at 13324 Madison Avenue.
This one is a little trickier, so I don't know if we want to go Director Varga or Chief Fisher.
Thank you, Madam President. It appears from the police report that the applicant no longer intends to use the location where the license would be employed. No longer use the location that was presumably put on the application to the Division of Liquor Control. So we have no choice. We don't know where the applicant intends to use the license. It could be next door to a school. We don't know. The applicant gives us no certainty. So the city has no choice but to request a hearing with the Division of Liquor Control, who may not know about this, but we're going to submit the police report to the division. I'm guessing they'll be very interested in these developments, probably resolve it without even the city's involvement. But to the extent we have to be involved in the hearing, we would just explain the situation. It's really going to be incumbent upon the applicant to identify the location. So that's what the city would do upon recommendation of the law department, barring any objection from council.
Thank you. And to that point, normally we turn to the ward member who's where the location resides, and since we don't know that, so the location listed would be Councilperson Strebig's, but I don't want to speak for you, but I'm assuming you will be interested in following the law department's. Okay. So with that, so I think we will just move to file consistent with the discussion.
What would it be to move to request a hearing or file with an objection?
Council could, Councilman and Madam President, but I think the administration could request a hearing. It's as simple as checking the box, and we're probably going to ask the clerk of council to check the box and return it. So,
All right, so we'll, I guess, move to check the box. Move to ask the clerk of council to check the box.
Yeah, second, whatever.
I don't.
That's
Well, close enough.
Close enough.
Yeah.
All right. Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? This is, I don't think this has happened in the whole time I've been on council, so. All right, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and that motion passes. Okay, so now we are at public comment. We do have, oh, Mr. Ogden, you're back, signed in. Did you want to speak? Sorry, I said Ogden, Oregon. You'd think I would have it down by now.
I mean, I've been here a lot. Good evening. My name's Robert Organ. I live at 14513 Bays. And boy howdy, did I just get back from a great bike packing trip out in the desert. As some of you probably know, I moved back to Lakewood with my wife at the beginning of 2022 from Phoenix. I love the desert. The nature out there is amazing. But I even wrote a speech today. How crazy is that? You know, as some of you may know, I just moved back from Arizona a couple years ago. A big part of me misses the desert, but being out there, seeing all of the things that I used to ride and run and enjoy all of the time, kind of reminded me of the reason that we moved away in the first place, or one of the big reasons that we moved away in the first place, and that's that there's no community fabric. Many of the Sunbelt cities out there developed in the era of car dominance, and therefore they're spread out, their neighbors don't know each other, it's difficult to get places without a car at least. However, Lakewood does not have that. Lakewood was a nearly completely built out community before the era of car dominance, and therefore we have those things that, you know, so many cities try to emulate. We have neighbors that know each other. We have dense, walkable neighborhoods. And it strikes me that so many people talk about loving Phoenix, loving Arizona, loving, you know, California, whatever. And what they mean when they say that is that they love the weather. They love the mountains, the scenery. When people talk about, you know, they love Cleveland, they love Lakewood, they love the community. They love all of the things that we have here in Lakewood. They're not really talking about the weather. Of course, we don't have great weather. So, you know, to that end, even though we have a really dense, walkable city here in Lakewood, it's not that safe. A couple of people here in Bike Lakewood and I have had a discussion about it, and it really seems like Lakewood is bikeable and walkable just by virtue of it being dense. But there's really not a lot of bike lanes, not a lot of safe pedestrian infrastructure. So what I would ask you, and I was anticipating that you all would have passed the active transportation plan tonight, but since that didn't happen, I will just say thank you for all of the work that you've done on it. It's fantastic. It's very, very good. But I don't think it goes far enough. What we really need is curb bump outs, daylighting at key intersections in our commercial districts, elevated crosswalks, and to offset the reduction in parking in some of those business districts, put in bike corrals. Bike corrals are cheap. You can put way more bikes and people can get to places. It would help out businesses immensely, as we've seen across the country and around the world, business districts that are walkable and bikeable and people feel safe walking in. The businesses do so much better. So I would ask you to, take bold, immediate action on that front. And I understand the city's reluctance to take away parking. As Councilmember Shackner pointed out, people will come out to say no if they sense that there is some kind of impediment to them doing their daily routine. But I have this really wonderful book that I've shared with some of you. I read it with my ears because I'm not that smart, but I did check out the only copy at the library. Council President, it's overdue, so I'm sorry. Don't shake your fist at me. I'm taking it back tonight. But the one copy will be available tomorrow at the library, so go read it, or if you're really busy, it's available on Audible and all of those apps, so you can read it with your ears. It's fantastic. He points out so many of the issues that are discussed in our active transportation plan and all of those things. Please, please, please do this quickly. We need it. It's not safe. All right? Thank you.
Thank you. And I will say, officially as librarian, audio listening is equal to reading on paper. So it's not that you're not smart. It's equal. So official. Okay. So that's any other public comment? We don't have anyone else signed up. All right. So announcements from colleagues. Announcements from the administration. All right, I'll just note that next Monday is Eclipse Day, you may have heard. So there are no council meetings, and also, I believe, no parking at Lakewood Park. So if you're going to enjoy the eclipse there, take your bike or walk, right? So just a note, but there is parking at Madison Park, so you can also go there. All right, with that, no further business coming for council, I will move to adjourn.
Second.
Motions been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. And we're adjourned.